jumped up with his paws and then lifted one paw and just went flap in the head, you'd be, that'd be it. You'd be, no, dog, outside. But the cat does, and you're like, oh, that's hilarious. You see,
so
it's only a little cut.
Hi, this is Scout and
William
from Hypermentilating,
the podcast.
A show that follows life and change through the eyes of a father and daughter. Join us as we find our way.
Together.
Okay, for our first topic, we're going to talk about why do cats get a pass for being jerks? We never let dogs get away with the same things. So I think what we mean by this is cats can paw at our face and wake us up. Listen to the last episode. They can, disturb our dreams and stuff like that. And all we got to do is just chuck them off the bed. If a dog came up and stepped on our face and pawed at us, we'd be irate.
Well, first of all, I think you're leaving out significant crimes, like crimes against furniture. Let's start with that. If your dog started,
stuff.
Huh?
Dogs don't do that though.
If they did, you'd lose your mind. Nobody would let their dog go walk in and up to the couch and start tearing it up.
I think it's because we just have expectations for cats. We're like, that's just how they are.
Oh, definitely.
Same old kitties.
Definitely, but the question is, why do they get a pass for being, like that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because it's annoying.
Well, Ike gets a pass because he's the cutest little boy ever.
That's part of it, isn't it? Dogs are sort of derpy and slurpy, and so they're not quite as cute once they stop being puppies. Cats manage to maintain a level of cuteness throughout their entire crime-ridden careers. Yeah, like if your dog started bringing home dead things and dropping them at your feet, you'd be like, whoa.
We're talking like
Fido.
Ike isn't the most indoor cat that's ever lived.
Okay, but, okay, but
Ike doesn't even swat at ants.
That's not true. I have seen Ike take pathetic shots at lizards.
One?
No, I've seen him do this multiple times trying to get a lizard. I've seen him catch and eat a lizard.
Ew.
Okay, so if your dog did that, you would definitely be like,
you
what?
Psycho.
What are you doing, man? Well, I'm not comfortable with you in the house anymore.
There's one plain explanation, and it's that
we let a killer roam free in our house.
It's just that we have that expectation for them. We're like, oh, well, it's in their blood. Cats are natural born hunters, like we just have that expectation of them. Oh, well, if a cat scratches the furniture, just how they are, they're sharpening their claws,
Uh-huh. So your explanation for why do cats get a pass for being, like this, because we can't swear, is because we expect them to be like this.
Yeah.
Well, that explains a lot of how the world works, doesn't it? Why can he be like that? Well, that's just how Bob is. He's just kind of a jerk.
Yeah.
So that's what cats are. Cats are like that guy or that girl who just wanders into your life and you're like, yeah, I can see why you don't like them, but that's just how they are.
Well, I could never get mad at my little...
He's a killer. We have a little killing machine that rips around the house and is practicing. Everything he does that we go, oh, that's so cute, is practicing killing.
I don't know. I just think that to a certain extent, it's like, well, it's just doing what a cat does, A cat's a cat. A cat's gonna cat,
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. So basically, a good chunk of cat behavior is kind of jerkish.
Yeah, very.
Like the claw thing.
We don't expect that from puppies.
Or coming up to you and just going, baff in the head.
Or like, I was just standing.
Can you imagine if your dog... Remember Jack? Jack was 100 pounds, man. 50 kilos. Imagine if Jack just randomly walked up to you on the couch, jumped up with his paws, and then lifted one paw and just went flap in the head. You'd be... that'd be it. You'd be... No, dog, outside. But the cat does, and you're like, oh, that's hilarious. You see, it's only a little cut.
Well, one time, it's not one time, it's happened multiple times, but it's so freaking cute. I've been just making food, right? And all of a sudden, he'll just randomly walk up to me, stand at my feet, and just look up at me all cute and all dazed, and I'll be like, hi, baby, what are you doing? He's like, he'll just stare at me for a second, and then he'll look at my ankle and go,
yeah.
And will full on bite my ankle. Just a little nibble.
Oh,
but it doesn't hurt, it's a love bite, but it's so cute.
A love bite. It's because he weighs 4 or 5 pounds, it's a love bite. When a tiger does it to you, you're a meal.
Yeah. Tigers are cats.
I mean, I think he's cute too. I like him too. But I'm not, under any illusions about what he is.
No, me
he's
neither.
a killing machine who practices
A
his
cute one.
art on the regular
A cute one.
in the house. And dogs would never get away with it, man.
No.
Never. But that does say something to how we look at cats. You're right. I mean, people, I like how independent they are, and I like how it's like, okay, you're gonna call it independent.
Well, we expect dogs to be cute and all like slobbery and floppy, and we don't expect them to bite our ankles or whap us in the face with their
No, for sure, you're absolutely right.
kitty litter infested claws.
So it comes down to that's the answer then. The answer is that
we expect
cats to be like
jerks.
that. Jerks, yeah. And so we're not disturbed by it.
For background information, we're not supposed to say the word that we originally put down in our notes.
Well, no. Yeah. Wow, Irish.
Okay.
It's not that it's that bad of a word. It's just we're trying to
it's kind of pointless.
keep this puppy PG.
Yeah, exactly.
See, I said puppy because puppies are cute.
Yeah, so are kitties.
Nobody says, we're trying to keep this cat PG. As soon as you say that, people are like, cats aren't PG, man.
True. Okay, well, that was a quick little segment.
Yeah, I mean, I think we covered it, really. They get away with it because we expect them. We expect them to be tools, and so when they act like tools, we're like, that's what we invited into the house.
Yeah.
A vampire can't come in unless you invite it.
Exactly.
Actually, I do like him. I like cats. I think they're cool. They're very interesting to watch. Very interesting to watch.
Pot things. Whap whap.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's they're cool. But that is definitely why they get away with it, because we expect it. And if a dog does it, poor dog can't.
Yeah,
imagine a dog and a cat in a house together, and the dog seeing the cat going around tearing up the furniture, and the people are like, "Aw, isn't that sweet?"
Cute
and the dog's like, "What is that, man?" The dog does anything. The dog like grabs your 6-year-old shoe and chews it a bit, and you're like, "Oh, this is what's your problem, dog?" Meanwhile, while you're telling the cat's over there looking at the dog like,
scratching the walls,
tearing up your favorite couch. Yeah. All right.
Okay. So our next topic is kind of one that is often brought up because we live so close to the ocean. Do you think that salt water is beneficial to your body? Like, you know how people always tell you that open wounds are good in salt water, helps heal them?
Yeah, that's definitely not true.
So do you think salt water is beneficial to your body?
I do. I think there's huge benefits to salt water, but open wounds is not one of them. I mean, that one's a no-brainer, right? Like there's all kinds of bacteria and live organisms in the salt water. So if you're going in with open wounds, the chances of getting an infection are humongous.
Fish pee and
you know what it used to do? Diving all the time, I would, and working, I would always have little cuts and scabs, and they hardly ever heal. You always get outrageous scars because every time you go in the ocean, boom, scab's gone,
come off,
completely gone. And so it wasn't so much I was worried about an infection at that point, but it's just that, okay, now the scab has to regrow again. So as far as, man, if you're trying to avoid scars, that's not the way to do it. But
yeah, I think the ocean has benefits to your pores and your hair. Well, your hair. But I think the overall effect to your body is better than not.
Oh, I think salt water can have huge benefits,
Yeah.
Like huge benefits. I think it can be really good for your skin. Putting aside the wound thing, like you have an open wound. I don't think you can't argue that it's good for that. But for skin, like it has lots of minerals in the water, and potassium, zinc, iron. There's all kinds of things in the water that I think could help heal small things.
Definitely.
Like you got a scrape or a small cut or something. I think it could be somewhat beneficial to that because that's all surface skin stuff, right? Those are they're not wounds. I think it could be good for your skin in general.
I like ocean water. It makes me feel nice, and
that's a benefit. That's a huge benefit, right?
Yeah.
It makes you feel
good.
peaceful. Yeah.
I would, if I had to choose between salt water or chlorine to be like a bucket of it poured on me, I would choose salt water 9.9 times out of 10.
Well, yes, as opposed to the burning, skin-melting effects of a bucket of chlorine. Yeah, a bucket of chlorine. That's like some supervillain thing, pouring a bucket of chlorine on somebody.
Yeah, I don't know. Salt water it makes people feel at peace. It makes them feel cleansed, and
which is a huge benefit.
Besides the sand that gets in untalked about places, I think.
Well, and the activity, being in the water itself, right? If you're snorkeling, you're swimming, I mean, that's good for you.
Yeah, it brings out the best in people.
Well, you know what I love about salt water is floating. Like how you're more buoyant with because the water's denser. You it's easier to float. So if you for me, I try and float in a pool, and I can do it, but it's a conscious effort to make sure I keep air in my lungs, and then you get out in salt water. And it's amazing how you can float and you don't sink. Imagine, I think Heather went to the Red Sea, and that's a huge content of salt, right? And
you can literally basically walk. You can't walk on it, but you pretty darn close to.
Wow, you got some delusions of grandeur there, eh?
Just kidding.
Thinking of walking across the sea, are you? There's your photo op. That would make you an influencer. Yeah, no, I think that's a really cool thing. That's a good point. I think you make a good point. It's very peaceful. It's definitely helpful for that. I think it has other benefits too, besides that. There's some arguments or studies, discussions made that it helps with pain relief, right? Because that it can be anti-inflammatory. So that can help people who have arthritis, which I also find is a benefit in water in general, and even more so in seawater, salt water, because of the buoyancy that when you're the weight's taken off of your body. So I love being in the water itself, even a pool for that. But sea is even better, right? All of the weight's taken off your body, and that's a great feeling, and I think that's super beneficial to all of your joints and ligaments and tendons and muscles and everything, is that some of the stress of gravity of just walking around on the planet is relieved. That's a wonderful feeling, being in the water and having all of that stress off of your body. So that's a huge benefit. They use it for therapy a lot, don't they? Like water things. And I think for the most part, salt water is going to be even better, just because it's got that extra buoyancy. And
I think it also brings out the best in a lot of people, because it's like, you hang out with friends, and at the beach you kind of have no choice but to go and play in the water or make sandcastles or just suntan. Like, it brings out the best in people. You're kind of forced to hang out with each other. So I kind of like that about the beach too, or salt water.
For sure.
Because I know that whenever Madish and I go, we end up spending a lot of time together. So it's just kind of, I think it just brings out the best in relationships, and like family relationships or couple relationships. I just like it. Everyone, even if you don't particularly like the beach, it kind of brings out a sort of joy and happiness.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you don't really go to the beach during, lightning storms, unless you're going to the ocean.
But that was unintentional.
Go watch the last episode. And I don't know, you usually go on a sunny day, so the sun's out. That usually makes people happy, because you're nice and awake.
Definitely. And there's something about it too that's just majestic too. For me, I love just standing at the edge of the water, looking out at the ocean, and I like that feeling of being small and big at the same time. Like it just makes me feel like I love it. But I could imagine that's intimidating for some people, that they might find that disturbing too, that idea that because it really reinforces how small we are, and how essentially we're living on islands no matter how big the continent is. All right,
for our first segment of the day.
All right, change happens. That's where we are.
Yep.
All right, for change happens, you're in a place in your life where you have your one foot firmly in childhood and one foot not so firmly, but getting more firmly placed in something other than childhood. So given that, my question to you is, what do you think about this matter? You find yourself with one foot in childhood and one foot in adulthood.
Well, it's really annoying. It's kind of, like, I don't love it because you kind of look back on, like, childhood memories and it makes you sad because it's like you'll never be able to go back to them. So it makes you kind of sad. It's tricky because you want to be grown up, but you also don't want to grow up. So it's kind of hard. You're trying to balance out the both of them. So it's kind of a tricky, not in the middle, but kind of, I don't know. That's kind of the thing. You're not in the middle.
So what I'm thinking is, what advice would you give to yourself 2-3 years ago? So what would you tell yourself a couple of years ago to prepare for this?
Like that you're gonna make mistakes, but to not be so hard on yourself about them. Like that they don't make you who you are, and that that it's not you, that those mistakes aren't you.
That's good advice.
That like you're who you are, and the small mistakes you make on the way do not make you who you are. That's probably what I would say to myself.
Yeah, that's really good advice. So you feel like part of being in this position of not a child but not an adult is
feeling like you're never making the right choice.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting.
Uh-huh.
I guess that's, yeah. I mean, that would be a big part of it, wouldn't it? Because it's really the first time in your life, like you're, not the first time, but you're really beginning to come into a place where you are making decisions. Mm-hmm. And so you're beginning to have an understanding that decisions, that your choices matter. Like that things you decide will affect you. Mm-hmm. Whereas when you're a child, you don't get to make that many decisions really. So it's not really a concern. Okay.
So that's probably what I would say to myself. Like that's probably the thing that would help me most.
So then going forward, as the changes keep coming in your life, would you continue with that kind of idea then? Like making sure you understand that you make choices and that some of them will work out and some of them won't?
Yeah. Because that advice kind of helps you stop making stupid decisions too. So I think it's a win-win. So I think that's definitely what I would say to myself.
Yeah, that's really good advice.
Nothing in particular, just in general.
I think that's something you encounter your whole life, right? Mm-hmm. You're beginning down a road that you sort of never leave in some respects as far as decision making goes. Like your life's eternally a bunch of choices that you make, and some of them are good and some of them are bad, and you have to be able to live with them. Yeah, let the ones go that you think turned out poorly, and not throw too many parades for the ones that turned out all right.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
I mean, we were talking about luck that last episode, and that definitely plays a role in it too.
Definitely.
Yeah, because you definitely are in the most. I would say you're in one of the most difficult positions that you find yourself in the whole grading of life, like the whole curve of life, right?
Yeah.
Like from birth to the finish.
Well, because you're kind of at that point where you want to like feel cool and kind of fit in with everyone, and so I think that's probably. Yeah,
like you're trying to develop a sense of yourself. When you're a kid, your sense of yourself is not considered. Like you just are who you are yourself. And then all of these things, social media now especially, there's all of these pressures to try and think of, okay, who am I then? What am I? How do I want to represent myself in the world?
Yeah.
It's easy to get lost in that too, right?
Definitely.
I mean, the more important is how do you represent yourself in the mirror, right? Like, how do you feel about yourself?
Exactly.
Is it harder than you, like, is
Definitely.
it hard? Yeah.
Yeah, like when you're little, you think, 13, like.
It's going to be amazing.
It'll all be easier to handle. Like, everything will be easier.
Yeah.
But it just gets way harder.
Just being aware of that is hugely beneficial for you going forward, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Because
and you want to start hanging out with older kids, and you just kind of like, and not make decisions with other people, like how other people act.
Right.
So Because you're getting to the age where it's like pure pressure, and just in general, life gets harder as you get older. At a certain point, I'm guessing things smooth out, but also like...
yeah, I don't know. Sometimes yes,
Yeah.
sometimes no, right? It's the same as what you're doing now. Sometimes up, sometimes down. It's just, I think that's really interesting. That's what I was wondering, like how you would approach it, or what advice you would give for approaching it. And I think that's really good advice, like for yourself, for anybody else too, is to just be gentle, right? That's what I was told one time. Just be gentle with yourself. And it's like, it's really good advice. Just be gentle with yourself.
Yeah, because you have to remember to be gentle with yourself. Yeah, that's what I would tell myself. That the decisions you make don't make you who you are.
Perfect. That's perfect. That's a great thing to take with you through your whole life, and now and into tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Nice. That's cool. It's very courageous of you too. I know that it's hard to
grow up.
Yeah, it is. For sure. I totally remember it, even though it was quite some time ago. I totally remember it, though. I remember how difficult it was to realize that a certain level of gentleness outside of yourself was gone, and that you needed to develop skills that before you had no idea even existed or were going to be necessary.
Yeah, and you also kind of get to an age where you realize that not everyone's on your side.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just kind of tricky to balance everything out.
Yeah, for sure. It's the world can appear less inviting at times as you expand your definition of what encompasses the world, for sure. And that can make it difficult. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
You got you have a weirdness lined up for us here? Mm-hmm.
This, I mean, it's definitely weird, but maybe not as weird as your last one.
What was it? I don't know.
Platypus.
Wow, yeah, that's just an oddball thing. No, but this is...
This is blobfish.
Yeah, it qualifies.
I don't know much about them, but one thing I do know about them is all the photos you see of blobfish, that's not what they look like underwater.
Exactly.
Like, they look weird underwater, but when they come out of water, they're all weird and deflated and like I can pull up a blob fish underwater.
Yeah, I think that they are the victims of...
Yeah, like, they don't look nearly as weird.
They're the victims of capture.
Yeah.
When we pull them out of the water and they're laying on
they implode. Implode, so they get all like
it's
weird and gooey.
It's the pressure of the depths that keep them...
Underwater, they just look like
pretty
fish.
normal fish.
Yeah, they just look like fish.
Because there's some freaky things down there, like weird creatures that...
Like way weirder than the blobfish.
Right out of horror movies.
Yeah. But
on the surface, they're totally...
slimy
and the way that they get that viral picture with the nose down and the all squished up
coming out of its mouth.
Yeah, it's nobody's idea of a good first date.
No, I mean, they're weird animals. They're just weird. Kind of like not gross. Well,
the depths have some outrageous creatures.
Seriously.
Like every once in a while,
ugly animals.
Oh my God, they'll blast out a new picture of something new they found down there, and it's what is that?
I would like to know how it feels to be the person that discovers them. Like in the submarine, going down, what is that? Like, I want to know how that feels.
Yeah.
Because it's cool to be the person, digging around in them and stuff like that. But I want to be the person that finds out what it is. It's like,
it's probably nerd heaven.
Oh, I want to know the feeling of like, that's my creature.
You get to name it.
Yeah. Like, that's my animal. Like,
Scouticus,
what?
You could call it Scouticus disturbinus.
I'd probably name it something a lot cooler than that. The scoutfish.
They have to have Latin names too, though, don't they? Although I don't think any of those words that you just use constitute Latin.
No.
But they sound Latin-y.
No, I'd probably just name it like... Well, yeah, what would you name your fish? I would name mine probably like... Well, it would depend on what it looks like.
Exactly what I was going to say. Like, would you want that blobfish heretofore known as the scoutfish?
Scoutfish? No.
No, like, how would you like that forever? Your picture beside the... You look it up in the dictionary and there's you and then the blob. No. You would call it your enemy then.
Yeah.
You would name it after your enemy.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would call my fish. It would have to be, what would you call your fish? You know what? I would be very tempted to name it like Steve.
Honestly, yeah. Like
Something
an actual
like that.
name.
Yeah. Myrtle. Oh, there you go. Myrtle the fish.
Ooh, Myrtle would be a good name for a blobfish. Sorry for all the people named Myrtle out there.
We didn't mean
No,
that.
I think Myrtle's a really cool name.
Oh, that's some backtracking.
No, I do, honestly. I just feel like for some reason Myrtle would suit every fish, you know? Like a guppy, oh, that's the myrtle fish. Or a shark, that's the myrtle shark. Like, I feel like it just sounds cool with every fish. Oh, that? Like a swordfish? Oh, that's the myrtle swordfish. Or like, oh, that's the myrtle-nosed fish. I don't know, it just sounds cool with everything.
You know what it'd sound coolest with? A turtle. Yeah? Say it.
Myrtle the turtle.
Oh, there you go.
That's the myrtle turtle.
The myrtle turtle. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Key. Key.
I doubt it.
This blobfish
let's
photo.
hope in all of our tens of fans there's no myrtles that we've offended.
Yeah, seriously.
Or mothers named Myrtle. Or great-grandmothers named Myrtle.
Or who's that actress?
That's Meryl.
Oh.
Yeah.
Meryl Streep.
I wonder, is Myrtle even a name?
Yeah.
Now I'm wondering if it's even a name.
Moaning Myrtle from Harry Potter.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That's the only one that pops into my mind,
I'm
though.
guessing that did not cause a lot of people to name their kids Myrtle.
No.
She's not a character that you'd want your kid associated with.
Although I think Myrtle's like a pretty name. It's kind of, it gives off old-fashioned vibes.
Yeah, it's not a bad name at all.
No, I like the name.
We're William and Scout, so we can't be getting on too high of a building to shout with joy.
Well, William's not a odd or strange name. I've met more Williams than I have Scout.
Well, exactly kind of the point, though. You know, William is not like, what, really? How unique.
Yeah.
Well, what's the story behind that?
Yeah.
There is no story, man. My parents were just like, William.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, that's not true. That's my dad's name, too.
Yeah, and your dad's name.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
your dad's
Yeah, I ended that parade.
dad's name.
Well, and then a nephew.
Yeah.
I used to tell people that the book of baby names in our family is not very big.
No.
No.
Although the people that have names in our family, they're all pretty unique.
Yeah,
Like,
they're
that aren't
good names.
William, they're not.
That aren't William. Wow.
They're
wow.
not like-
You just burned every William in the family.
Well, it's fine because I love every William in the family.
Well, that's fortunate. All right. I think we're
Episode the 9th.
we're ending on the blobfish.
Yep.
There you go.
Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to go in
Wow, you're all right.
Look at all-
You made it.
of our socials and websites. Go follow us on... But actually, like, legitness, go look at paralosdos.com. Go subscribe to the newsletter and tune in next Wednesday. I love you, Dad.
I love you, sweetie.
Next time.
Next time, for sure.